Now, if you're a fan of watching reality TV, I'm pretty sure you're aware of who Bear Grylls is. He's the man who lives in the outdoors, who lives a completely different style of life, and actually shows you that surviving on the outdoors with very little is something you can possibly do. Is it something you would like to do? Well, that's a very personal perspective. I'm personally not much of an outdoors man that way, but it's very interesting to see what humans can do. On the other hand, Luminox is a very different kind of a brand. They don't make your traditional luxury watches. What they make are very functional watches, what watch aficionados would refer to as tool watches. They're designed for a purpose. And that's why Luminox has been really popular with people who really need their watches, who really depend on their watches in their daily life. Whether it's fighter pilots, whether it's special enforcement officers, whether it's police officers, Luminox has been a big hit with them. And you can understand why. Their watches are rugged, they work very well, and they have some features that make them particularly suited to these kind of users. So when Luminox and Bear Grylls paired up to make a new series of watches that are designed for somebody like Bear Grylls, somebody who likes the great outdoors, they've come out with some great stuff. And that's what we are reviewing today. This is the Luminox Bear Grylls Survival Master Series watch, and we're going to have an in-depth look at what it offers. Now first, of course, with any watch is the design. And the first thing that really strikes you with the Bear Grylls edition of the Luminox is, one, it's bold, it's in your face, and two, it's a large watch. I mean, with a 45mm dial, with a 14mm dial height, it's not really a small watch, and it looks even bigger on my rather narrow wrist. But if you have a bigger wrist, I think, like my colleague Jared does, it suits a lot better. The one thing that I've got really good compliments about is the bright orange strap. This rubber strap is really comfortable wear in our summer conditions. It's really practical, and I think it looks good. It pops out really well, and I've got multiple messages from friends of mine who've seen pictures of me wearing this in a video, asking specifically about what watch that was. So that's also a plus if you're looking to make a statement. When it comes to the particular design, the case of the Bear Grylls edition of the Luminox is made with a proprietary material called Carbonox Plus. This is obviously carbon based, that's why it's very durable and it's very lightweight. What I really like about this is that it's a great contrast to the bright orange strap. It's got this dull matte gray, dark gray, black kind of a finish, and I think that pops out quite well. The actual dial design, well, I quite like the unidirectional bezel that this watch has, but the dial itself is a little busy. Also, I think the sub-dials are a little too big. That's why the dial design looks quite busy. But I think if you wear it for a couple of days, you get quite used to it and it's easily legible. The one very interesting feature, one unique feature that Luminox offers is that they have lume elements that are applied to the dial, to the hour markers, to the hands, and those are guaranteed to last you 25 years, that they will glow even if you don't expose them to a light source. So I think that's another great advantage, because if you're somebody who's more outdoorsy, who works more in low light conditions, darker conditions, the legibility, the visibility of those lume elements to see time and other data of the watch is absolutely fantastic. Couple more design elements that are quite interesting. Very similar to the dial, you also see a rubber cover on top of the crown, and the crown also has Luminox etched onto it. The case back is always a great place for most brands to exhibit whether a nice movement or the details about the watch, and Luminox doesn't surprise here. They have it really clearly states that this is the Bear Grylls edition. They have his motto, never give up, his signature. It gives you other details about what the case is constructed out of, the glass material, and I think the orange detailing with the matte and shiny steel finish here works quite well. Now, one question I got from another colleague was seeing this etched elements and the matte elements and the brighter elements. He said, is it uncomfortable to wear? Well, it's actually not. It's actually really comfortable to wear. So that's one thing. This might be a big watch, but because of the Carbonox case, because of the rubber strap, because it only weighs about 89 grams, it's actually really comfortable. If you're okay with the size, the weight and how it behaves on your wrist is actually quite easy. So that's something I've not had a problem with. One last design element that I really like and I think is very practical. they have this compass. This is obviously a separate unit that you sort of thread into the strap, and it works really well. So if you're sort of, I haven't really gone outdoor exploring with the watch, but if I'm trying to see where east is, west is, and the other directions, and where I'm standing and what direction I'm looking at, it's worked really well. So I think it also has a lot of uses in actual outdoorsy stuff that you're doing, and it might look like it'll be a little clumsy, sort of threaded onto the strap, but it actually works really well. So from that perspective, the Luminox does have one advantage. Despite its size, it's really practical, really easy to wear, and after a couple of days, you don't even realize you have such a big watch on your wrist. Now, when it comes to the mechanicals and the movement of the watch, this is Swiss made, of course. It's powered by a Ronda 5030D quartz chronograph movement. The average battery life claimed by the company is about 50 months, which basically means, since it's quartz and a chronograph, that the timing is going to be really good, it's going to be really accurate. It also has a date function, so that also helps. And it's water resistant to about 300 meters. And the case construction, like I mentioned earlier, is a combination of Carbonox Plus with a stainless steel back. One peculiar thing I noticed, in India we have very dusty conditions, and this matte rubber surface on the strap tends to pick up dust very easily. It's easily cleanable, but that's something that you have to do. It's an extra activity. I think the benefit of the rubber being so practical, so easy to wear in a hot weather, the drawback is that it gets dirty and you have to clean it regularly. So what do I think of the Luminox Bear Grylls edition? Well, I really like it. It's a really practical watch, it's eye-catching, it's reliable, and it'll serve you very well in all different kinds of conditions. Only two issues. One, it's very large, so that has to be something you have to consider before you're buying. And at 71,000, it's pretty expensive for a very focused watch. So those are the only two drawbacks. Other than that, I really like the Luminox Bear Grylls edition. And if you're an outdoorsy style of person, I think this would be a great addition to your toolkit.